Representative Luis Moscoso with the 1st District. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. So cutoff was yesterday. How did your bills fare?
I think my bills are doing pretty well at the moment. I've got 3 that are moving forward over to the Senate, and the biggest piece of legislation that I'm working on, the Prevention and Intervention Gang Bill, although it did not come out of the House with money intact, it is still alive because it's what they call necessary to implement the budget, which means that the bill can still be alive if we find money before March.
So you're still working the bill?
We're still working it very hard. There's a lot of support, in the House as well as the Senate. When it came out of Ways and Means, it was 100%, bipartisan support. We just have to find the money for that. Well, what this bill does is sets up a partnership council that will administer funds from the state as well as seek other outside funding from not-for-profits and organizations that will help us work on gang prevention and intervention services. It'll give grant money to a number of programs already around the state that now have run out of their own funding to make sure that our kids don't get caught up in gang life. And if they're starting down that road, we'll find ways to get them out before things get really serious.
Okay. And you said you have other 3 bills that are moving on to the Senate. Could you talk to us about those?
Yes. One of them is from last year that ran out of time to get passed out of the Senate. And that is a bill that if you've got a security alarm system in your house or business, you will let the police know sometimes if you're not going to be around. And unfortunately, with our public disclosure laws, people can go into the police and actually look up and find out when you're not there. So this will make it clear that you can't disclose that information to people. Another bill I have is building on a legislation we passed last year around retainage for public contracts, where smaller subcontractors, particularly disadvantaged business enterprises, need to be paid right away. They're not the big contractors. They can't afford to wait until a project is all the way completed. And sometimes the retainage, which is left over, which is kept back to pay for these projects, isn't released until the end of the project. So what we've done is change the procedures so that the bonding, we can pay these contractors. The new part for this year was to add transit facilities and companies, because last year was about the WashDOT. This year is about making sure that our public transit systems can also use the same provision. My third bill is relating to non-voting labor members of transit boards. And several years ago, the legislature passed a bill that allowed for labor unions to select a person to be on the transit governing board in order to build better relations and work on issues. There have been some difficulties where not every transit property in the state was, utilizing the services input from these labor members as they should. And so after talking with a number of management folks, I clarified the language so we're really clear that in excluding them from executive sessions that had to deal with personnel matters or litigation or conflicts of interest. This should clarify why the non-voting labor member is on this board, because it's about learning to work together in collaboration.
And bringing the experience.
And bringing the experience to the table, right.
So who's this?
This is?
My name is Josefina Lanis Mora.
And she is the daughter of a very good friend of mine who've worked on a lot of community organizing projects over the years. And she is paging this week in the House. Also going to school here, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So how old are you, Josefina?
I'm 14.
Wow. How do you like the experience so far?
It's very different. There was a lot of things that I knew about the state government, but there was also a lot of things that I'm learning that I didn't know about. So it's very new and very different.
So would you recommend this to your classmates? Or?
I do. Aside from looking good on your college application, it's very fun because you get to meet new people around the state from places that one wouldn't normally go to, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell them where you go to school at?
I go to the Northwest School in Seattle. Yeah.
And Dad, I understand you're the first student that's ever paged from that school?
I think so. I know that there might have been some teachers who had done that in the past, but I think I'm the first student in the history of the school to page.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you for being here today.
Yeah. Thank you, Josefina.
So I understand you have in-district town halls this weekend on February the 18th?
Yes, I have 2 town halls, one in Mount Lake Terrace and one in Bothell. I'm really looking forward to getting back and talking to the folks back in the 1st District, see how they think things are going and what we should be doing for the remainder of the session.